Welcome back to AllGen Academy. So you've learned about different investment vehicles, investment types of instruments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, retirement accounts, non-qualified. So that's great to have this breadth of knowledge that we can all Google or Wikipedia. But how do I apply this to my financial situation? So as you know, we've always advocated for your financial journey as you seek financial freedom, okay? Financial freedom being the intersection between the life you want to lead and your ability to live it. But with all these tools available, what makes sense for me? That's the question. And part of this is financial planning, but today we want to give you a quick high-level pseudo formula that might apply to you. And I say might because it all depends, disclaimer on your particular circumstances, what's available to your work, your tax bracket, all that. But Jason, let's talk about how someone might approach starting to build a portfolio to accelerate their quest for financial freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, when we start off here, just quick bullet point, this is really for someone who has already paid off all their consumer debt and who has plenty of emergency reserves. So you've already kind of graduated from the foundation life stage, okay? You don't want to start this prior to that. You want to have that in place first. But when we look at financial freedom funding, the way we're going to kind of give you a suggestion in general here today is trying to optimize the quickest amount of time to get you to financial freedom with the least amount of money to put away. Okay, so what it depends on, obviously, is your current goals. How long you want to reach to financial freedom. What's your availability? Do you have a 401k at work? Does it have a match? Do you have a Roth 401k option? What your income level is. We're going to get deeper into that. So that's kind of what the variables are here as we're looking at what's available to you and what's your ability to put amount of money away, and then how much do you need to reach to, right? How much money you need.
That's right. So the first step is figuring out, once you know what you want to accomplish, how much do you need to put away?
That's right.
To get to that goal.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, like Paul's saying, let's say, for example, just an example, right? We want to have $2 million by the time we reach 65, okay? And that's what we need to be able to fund our lifestyle for the rest of our life. And so how do you kind of figure that out, right? So there's two ways here that we're going to offer for you to be able to figure that out. One is you can use our time value of money calculator, but I'm going to hone in on the trail map because the trail map does a really good job, as you can see here on the screen, of kind of pointing out how much you need to be putting away on an annual basis. So you can see here in the red circle, you can see this area right here. That is the amount that you need to be putting away for this particular couple. Now this is a couple, husband makes $100,000, wife makes $70,000, and they want to have $80,000 a year when they retire. They want to be financially free in 25 years, and then we're trying to make sure that amount of money is funded through age 95, when the youngest person of the couple turns age 95. So that's how much money you need to be putting away each year, the $24,000 and change they do. Now, where do I put that money?
Right.
Do I go into 401ks? Do I go into Roths? What do I do?
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're going to cover today. So step 2 is to figure out what's your marginal tax rate, okay? And we've provided a tax bracket right now for 2020. Obviously, tax table, yeah. So taxes are changing all the time, right? So you always want to kind of check back to make sure you're using the right tax table here. But this is an example of a married filing jointly. You could also look it up for the single filer. And what we want to determine first is, are you in the lower to middle tax rates, which we're defining as 24% and below, okay? Or are you in the higher tax rates, 32% or higher? So in this example, a married couple, if they made less than $326,000, then if they made less than that, then they would be in the lower to middle tax rates. If they make more than that, they would be in the higher tax rates. Okay, so step 3. And now that you know if you're either in the lower to middle, because there's two different strategies. There's a lower to middle strategy. If you're in the lower to middle income tax bracket, there's a strategy for that. And then there's a second, we're going to call that strategy A. And the strategy B is if you're in higher income tax brackets, okay? So the first step, and we have a little table for this, but is to contribute up to the employer match in your retirement account. This is probably an obvious one for a lot of people, but if your 401k offers you a match, then you want to take advantage of that free money, if you will, in that match of your 401k. If there is a Roth 401k option, then you put money into that Roth, even up to the match portion. So let's say, for example, your employer matches on 3%, put that first 3% into that Roth side of your 401k. Remember, the Roth, you don't get the tax deduction now, but it's growing tax-free for you.
Right.
Okay? And then the second piece is some employers, this is kind of rare now, but I think it may gain some popularity, is that to take advantage of another potential match, which is your health savings account. So if you have the ability to have a health savings account at work and you have the proper health insurance for that, then you could take advantage of the match that the HSA. But that's rare. Not many people have that.
Right.
All right. Step 3. So if your employer offers a Roth 401k, okay, so now that you've taken advantage of all the matches, your next step is go back to the Roth 401k and keep contributing up to that amount. Now remember the example we were using, it was around $24,000 that they're going to be putting away every year.
Right.
Okay, so we first take advantage of the matches and then we take advantage, we continue to go into the Roths to get up to that $24,000 level. So let's say, for example, these people are younger than 50, and for 2020, your 401k contribution limit is $19,500. So you'd go up to that $19,500, but you still have $4,500 left to reach that kind of $24,000 amount. So in that scenario, let's just say only one of the spouses has the option to put money into a 401k, then you would max out a Roth IRA, okay? So then that would be outside of your work. And you know, there are income limits and you want to check those. We listed the amount that starts on the phase out. There's what's called a phase out, that kind of the more money you make, it starts to phase out once you get to these amounts for 2020. So for 2020, if you're single, $124,000 is where it starts to phase out. If you're married, it's $196,000.
Right.
So if you make less than that, you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So go as much as you can into the Roth IRA, and if you still have money left over after that on the annual amount that you're supposed to put away, then you would go in what's called a non-qualified or non-retirement account, okay, just a brokerage account.
So to sum it up, Jason, I mean, I'm very visual, so show me exactly what that could look like here.
Yeah, so here's a good graph to kind of walk you through that. So again, this is low to middle income tax maker, and you're going to go until you've used all the money. In this example, it's about $24,000. So you would go up to your employer match at work, and then you would try to max out all the Roth, whether it be a Roth 401k or Roth IRA options, and then you would go into the non-qualified. So that's going to vary for each person because some people don't have the Roth 401k option at the work, and in that scenario, then maybe they take the match on the 401k, you know, the pre-tax side, but then they try to max out the Roth IRAs, and if they've exhausted all of that and they've gone up to the contribution limit, then they go to the non-qualified accounts at that point, assuming obviously for the Roth IRA that you are eligible.
Right. Yep. So this is for those persons in the middle to lower income tax brackets, because there's a difference between your tax bracket and the strategy you employ. The big driver being, do you think you're going to be in a lower tax bracket now than later, or vice versa?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So if you're in the higher tax bracket, which might mean you might be in a lower one, equal or lower later, we shifted a little bit, right? You're going to explain that now?
Yep, exactly. So strategy B, if you're in the higher income tax bracket. So this is, remember, 32% marginal tax rate or above as of 2020. You contribute to the employer match in the retirement account. Same thing, you start off to take advantage of the matches, right? Take advantage of that free money. But this time, instead of going to the 401k, go all pre-tax. Remember what Paul was saying, that the whole kind of theory behind this is, if you think you're going to be in a higher income tax bracket now, and a lot of times people that are in these higher tax brackets, 32% and above, they're in a higher tax bracket now than where they will be in retirement. So if you're contributing to pre-tax, you're getting the 32% tax rate right now, but then when you retire, maybe you're in the 22% tax bracket and you're pulling that money at a lower tax rate. So same thing, contribute up to the match in the HSA, but then try to max out all the pre-tax employer, like if you're 401k or 403b, max those out, and then max out your HSA after that. Once you've done that, then you go into, if you continue to go to the total amount that you're supposed to save every year, and if you've exhausted everything before this, then you put the rest into a non-qualified or just a regular taxable brokerage account.
So again, give us that visual.
Yep, so here's the visual again. So you contribute to employer matches first. That's the same thing in both steps, or both strategies. But then once you've exhausted that, you want to kind of max out those pre-tax contributions, whether it's a 401k, 403b, 457, whatever option your work has or you have access to. And then once you've exhausted all that, you contribute into a non-qualified account.
Now understand, these are very high-level strategies that for the most part can make a lot of sense for a lot of people. We always suggest look at your financial situation because, one, as we mentioned in the beginning, your tax bracket, what you have available, what resources or investment vehicles you have available, whether because of work or your income tax eligibility, okay, or how much you need to put away. You know, all these factors are moving targets. So understand the high-level strategies, but by doing that, you can really look to implement a strategy that makes sense for your plan so you can maximize your investments and reach financial freedom quicker. So thank you for listening. Look forward to seeing you soon.